scale. We're coming back to this real quick. Short video today, practical application of how to think about ground scale versus figure scale, why it matters, and why you have to think about this. There are three scales you need to think about. There's the scale of figures to what those figures represent. There's the ground scale and there's the time scale. Today we're talking about ground scale. In my last video on scale, there was a lot of really good commentary in the comments. Highly recommend you go back and read some of those threads. One of the comments, I don't want to call it out by name, but there was an individual that said, hey, you know, we use X size, and really it doesn't matter because as long as you're having fun. Well, full stop. Hold on. I'm not going to say it's wrong to say, well, as long as we're having fun. But what I am going to say is that these videos are not about telling you how to have fun. They are telling you about how to think about how you approach your wargame table to ensure that you're having fun. All right. Having fun is the goal, it's not the process. And this is the process video that will lead you to have fun. A lot of people go play games, they're not having fun and they don't understand why. And it may be because they haven't fully considered how the ground scale affects the fun that they're having. This is illustrative. I want you to pretend, now obviously you can see this is 1 foot across. So we're looking at less than 2 feet by less than 2 feet. I want you to pretend that this is a 4 by 4 foot table. We're going to look at a practical application of this using Ospreys to be determined whether it's awesome or not, fighting sail. I haven't used this yet, but it has a scenario in here that I think is really great for illustrating how you need to think about whether you can use a rule set as is, whether you convert from inches to centimeters or vice versa, or whether you have to cut ground scale in half as opposed to the rules to make something work. And specifically, I'm looking at this scenario right. I should have bookmarked it right. It's an escape scenario. Here we go. Pursuit and evasion. And as you can see, you have one boat starts in the center of our board. Now this is 4 feet across, okay? One boat starts in the center. The others start within 6 inches of the boundary. And then he's going to move in 2-inch increments. The rules are a little more complicated than that, but we'll go ahead and set up. Here's our ship that's in the center, and here's our pursuit vessels. And in the game, the pursuit vessels will set up somewhere on the edges. If you were to approach this and say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and use my 3 by 3 foot table instead of 4 by 4 feet. That means that this guy will cut, and we'll start these guys here. So we've essentially cut off 6 inches. This is now 3 feet across, and we've cut 6 inches off the edge of the table. And what that means is this guy has purchased for free 6 inches of real estate. When he moves down to escape, when he gets here, has he actually escaped? Now what you've done is you've said he gets his last 3 movement points. And the way the game works, you roll dice to see how many sailing points you have. And for every sailing point, you can move 2 inches. So he gets a free 3 free hits because he gets here and he's already escaped. Shrinking the table from 4 feet to 3 feet means that he's got an easier time of it. Alternatively, if we've got 4 ships, 1, 2, and I'll go ahead and throw them out. 3, 4. Now I've got 4 ships. As he's trying to escape, they're all right on the edge of the boundary. They're actually closer than they might otherwise have been if they had started off here. And as he's trying to get away, and the trap is closing in, once he gets to this point, they still have 6 more inches to go before he's finally won the game, right? So in this case, in a scenario like this, you can't just cut off a full foot of the board. Likewise, I want you to pretend that we said, you know what, let's go ahead and play this on a 6-foot board now, right? So now our real footprint is 6 feet. Think about what that means. This guy, instead of being a maximum, so he starts in the center, this guy, instead of being a maximum of It was 48, it's 24, 18 inches from the guy. Instead of starting off 18 inches away, if he starts that 6 inches, instead of 18 inches away, you've added a full foot. He's now 30 inches away. It's going to take him a lot longer to close a 30-inch gap as he sails away than it would to close that 18-inch gap. So adding a foot to each side has the same kind of effect, that it makes his life harder. On the other side, this guy now has to sail a full 12 inches further, where before he only had to get the 24 inches away. Now he's got to get 36. Right? So you can't just add and subtract without thinking about the rules of the scenario and how the battle space balances out the rules of that scenario. Alternatively, what if we said, well, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to make this 24 inches across, and we're going to cut all of our movement and range rates in half. This is a case where you might say, you know what? I know I've got a 3-foot space here, but I'm actually going to declare that you either fold it over. So, hey, look, my 3-foot just became 2 foot across. Or you just declare that once he gets within 6 inches of this edge, right? So these guys are still going to start. This is, all right, let's back up, put some steps. Our battle space here is literally 3 feet. But we've cut all our ranges in half so that we have a 24 by 24 inch square that is our actual battle space, right? So now he's going to be able to start 3 inches. So our fold is going to be additional space that we're going to ignore. If he can get to within 3 inches of the border now, he's going to win the game. And he's not going to start, well, he could still start within 6 inches, I guess, right? Well, that puts him 12 inches away, which would be 24. It's going to be pretty close. So this is a case where this is a really solid demonstration of why there are no blanket solutions. And again, oh, well, as long as we're having fun, sure, but you need to understand how these variables interact, because if you're playing this guy and you now have a lot further to go before you can escape, this may become an unwinnable scenario. And if he's consistently losing this scenario because you've wrecked the balance created by Ryan Miller, then you're not actually having fun. You're right, as long as you're having fun, but this video is not about telling you how to have fun. It's telling you how to think about this stuff and how to be mindful of how rewriting the rules of a game can affect the fun that you're having and wear away at the fun that you're having, all right? So think about that when you're doing your scenarios, that it's not just a simple case of, oh, well, it's just bigger or it's just smaller. Or if you do that, be aware of how doing so can impact, can take you closer to or further away from your goal of having fun, right? So there you go. A couple of more thoughts on scale issues and one real world application. Well, one real Wargaming world application. Thanks for listening. I'm praying for you.